Thomas and the President, a story of friendship and loyalty. The midday sun baked the streets of Ouagadougou. Heat waves shimmered above the tarmac, motorbikes roared past, and dust clung to sweaty faces. At the corner of a busy junction, a man in grease-stained clothes worked under the hood of an old pickup truck. His hands were black with oil, his face glistening with sweat. This was Thomas, once the brightest student in his school. Teachers had praised his sharp mind, and friends relied on him for help with homework. He dreamed of becoming an engineer, maybe even helping to build a better Burkina Faso. But tragedy struck. At 16, a fire claimed his parents. Thomas left school to care for his younger sister. An old villager taught him to repair engines, and eventually he opened a tiny roadside workshop in the city. Work was tough, money unpredictable. Some days he went home empty-handed. Yet Thomas never cheated anyone. He told himself, "If I stay honest and keep working, better days will come." That afternoon, something extraordinary happened. A sleek black car stopped at the junction. Bodyguards stepped out, scanning the area. "It's the president's convoy," someone whispered. Thomas barely looked up. Big men and big cars didn't pay his bills. He kept tightening bolts on a motorcycle. Then a tall man in a crisp military uniform emerged. His eyes swept over the crowd and froze. "Thomas?" he murmured. Without glancing up, Thomas muttered, "1 minute, almost done here." The voice came again, louder, emotional. "Thomas, is that really you?" Thomas stood, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked up and froze. "Ibrahim!" Gasps rippled through the crowd. The man removed his cap, strode forward, and pulled Thomas into a fierce embrace. To everyone's shock, it was President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, crying openly in the street, holding a roadside mechanic as if afraid to let go. Years ago, they had been inseparable village friends, dreaming of changing their country together. Life had sent one to the palace and the other to a dusty corner. "You promised we'd change this country side by side," Ibrahim whispered. "How did I let this happen to you?" Thomas said gently, "You didn't. Life just took us on different roads." The president straightened his cap. "Then I'll sit here with you." And so he did. Onlookers gasped as the president of Burkina Faso lowered himself onto a wooden stool beside a sweaty mechanic. Phones rose to capture the moment. Ibrahim didn't care. He saw only his childhood friend, the same pride, honesty, and strength he'd known since boyhood. They laughed about stolen mangoes, about old adventures. And as Ibrahim's guards shifted nervously, the president said, "Let them wait. They must remember, power means nothing without loyalty and truth." Just then, a little girl ran up. "Papa, Mama says come home early. There's no firewood to cook rice." She stopped, staring wide-eyed. "Papa, is that the president?" Thomas smiled. "Yes, sweetheart. This is Uncle Ibrahim." Ibrahim's face softened. "Come here, little one." He hugged her warmly. "She's beautiful. What's her name?" "Amina," Thomas replied, proudly. Ibrahim turned serious. "She deserves more than this, Thomas. Let me help you." Thomas shook his head. "I don't need charity. I need a promise. Promise me you'll make this a country where no child has to leave school to survive. Promise to protect the honest and hard-working." The president gripped his friend's hands. "I promise, on my honor." That evening, Ibrahim canceled every meeting. Addressing his ministers, he said, "Today I sat with a man who reminded me why I became president. We must do more for those who hold this country together with bare hands." The next morning, the black convoy returned, this time with journalists and cameras. A stage had been set up by Thomas's dusty shed. "Thomas," the president called, "yesterday I cried. Today I came to honor." He told the crowd of Thomas's brilliance, his sacrifices, his honesty. Then, to everyone's shock, he announced, "From this day, Thomas's workshop will become a government training center, where young people can learn skills and build a future. And his daughter, Amina, will have a full scholarship to any school she chooses, all the way to university. Tears streamed down Thomas's face. He had never asked for this. All he wanted was to be remembered. But the story didn't end there. Days later, two strangers visited Thomas. They offered him money, millions of CFA, to give the president a special drink. When he realized it was a plot to harm his friend, he pretended to agree, then rushed to warn Ibrahim that very night. The men were arrested, the plot exposed, and once again, Thomas's loyalty saved not just the president, but an entire country. Soon after, the president held a national press conference. Thomas and his family sat in the front row. Ibrahim declared, "This man was offered riches and power, but instead of betrayal, he chose truth. Today, I honor not just Thomas, but his family." Amina was granted a scholarship to study anywhere in the world. Esther, Thomas's wife, was given a brand new supermarket in her name. And Thomas's Roadside workshop became one of the largest mechanic training centers in the nation. The country rejoiced. Newspapers called Thomas the mechanic who saved the president. Teachers told children about his courage. And across Burkina Faso, people began to believe again that honesty and friendship could change the world. That night, at their new home, Thomas raised his glass. "To my wife, my daughter, and my brother the president, today we celebrate not just success, but truth and friendship." And back at the palace, Ibrahim looked at an old photograph of two schoolboys with wide smiles. He whispered, "Some presidents are protected by guards and guns, but me, I am protected by a friend." Because true friendship never fades, and real leadership is not measured by power, but how you lift others up. If this story inspires you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.